put that thing back where it came from, or so help me, so help me, and stop.
Welcome, feathered friends and bird nerds, to Raptor Radio, the podcast soaring high above the rest. Get ready to sink your talons into all things American Eagle Foundation and all things Raptor. From majestic eagles to charismatic corvids, we'll be providing you with updates from our roost while educating about the wide, wild world of raptors. The sky's the limit for our host's passion for magnificent birds of prey. Leading us in this endeavor are your hosts, Dr. Robin Miller and Crystal Slusher.
Welcome, feather fanatics, to our first episode ever of Raptor Radio.
Yay!
This is American Eagle Foundation's premier podcast. And this episode, we have some special guests from our staff that are going to be sharing insights into some behind-the-scenes happenings here at our new headquarters. And I'm joined by Crystal Slusher, who's going to share some upcoming news here at American Eagle Foundation.
So some of the cool things that are happening at AEF coming up in March, we will be attending Major League Fishing's Red Crest. This is like the Super Bowl for outdoors people. And then in April, we'll be having a conservation festival that will take place every weekend. Make sure you stay in tune with our social media for details about these upcoming events.
Are we ready to introduce our fabulous guests?
I think so. It's about time.
Yes, it is. So I am delighted to introduce you to American Eagle Foundation's Rehabilitation team. Take it away, guys. Tell us a little bit about who you are and what you do here for American Eagle Foundation.
Okay, I guess I'll start. My name is Dr. Michael Jones. I'm the Director of Rehabilitation and Research at American Eagle Foundation. I spent most of my career at the University of Tennessee, but retired in June of 2022 and failed that retirement because it only lasted for a month, and I came to work at American Eagle Foundation.
Hello, my name's Nancy Zagaya, and I'm the Rehabilitation Manager and Licensed Veterinary Technician here at the American Eagle Foundation. I first started working with the Eagle Foundation in 1995, along with Dr. Jones, when we would come as the veterinary team to do physicals. And I became a full-time staff member in 2019.
Which was a very exciting day when both of you joined. Brad, you were here before me.
Yeah. Well, hello, my name is Brad Skinner. I came to the American Eagle Foundation in 2016, so I've been here for about 7 years now. I went to college to be a wildlife rehabilitator with wildlife biology background. And right now I'm the Rehab Associate here at the American Eagle Foundation, but I'm going back to school right now so I can get my licensed vet tech. So that I can definitely work with the rehab team here at the American Eagle Foundation.
So you're all part of the team for Raptor Care and Rehabilitation here at American Eagle Foundation, but what I'm curious about and what I want our listeners to know is how your roles differ from one another.
That's a great question, and our roles differ in some of the things that we do. We are a team, and so we all take responsibility for all of the birds that are here. Our ambassador birds and the birds we're rehabilitating, because we all want to ensure that they are taken care of as best as possible. As a veterinarian, certainly I'm responsible for overseeing the health of the birds and how they're managed and how they're taken care of. I oversee, if we were doing surgical procedures, certainly those, and anesthetic procedures, prescribing medications and making sure that they're getting the appropriate medications, dosing those medications, and things like that. But we all are part of a team, so it's great to have a group of people that work hard to ensure the health of the birds.
I know, I admire seeing you all work together.
I'm kind of reining in the fangirling because the few times I've gotten to tag along with you on releases and interventions and just generally assist with examinations have been some of my favorite days here over the past few years. So we're all a fan here, and I'm grateful that our community is getting this chance to know you better. I still want to hear from Brad and Nancy.
Well, in addition to being a licensed veterinary technician, which I graduated in 1982, so it's been a minute, I became a licensed wildlife rehabilitator in 1995. And in addition to working as a licensed vet tech, luckily I worked at UT College Veterinary Medicine, and I was able to bring the babies to work with me that needed to be bottle fed, and it developed my passion for wildlife rehabilitation, and has brought me to the point where we are now, and basically providing the most evidence-based nursing care that I can for our ambassador birds and our rehabilitation birds is my goal, and also to share my excitement and passion with budding veterinary technician students.
Nancy, you have a history in nursing too, right?
Yes, I'm also a registered nurse. I loved both, and I was able to, I retired from UT College of Veterinary Medicine in 2010, and I was fortunate enough to be offered a part-time position here in 2011, because I also graduated from UT College of Nursing in 2010 and started my human nursing career, and I was so fortunate to be able to do both for 10 years, and then this wonderful opportunity, our executive director said, we're expanding, can you come full time? And I didn't have to think twice. I miss a lot of things about human nursing, but I feel fortunate that I've been able to do both, and I practice my nursing skills, my multi-species nursing skills every day, and my human nursing experience was invaluable.
Yeah, I pretty much don't have anything like that type of background.
No, here's the thing, Brad. Ever since I met you, you've wanted to get involved in rehabilitation.
Oh, definitely. I mean, like same from like my role right now. I mean, as much as I definitely want to get into rehab, was definitely like one of my top goals when I first even came here to AEF. But as my role now to getting to that opportunity has been amazing. Since now we have our own rehab team now, I have pretty much came to want to make sure to get the bird for these two, for anything for blood drawing or examination or anything like that. I can definitely make sure that they are both safe from the bird that I'm assessing or holding during the time. And that's most of what my role is to help out for any type of care that they need, also from feeding, cleaning, but also for anything that these two definitely need in the aspect. Now, I know whenever I get my vet tech certification, I definitely will follow the lead in Nancy's area to also for Dr. Jones. So I definitely am excited for that opportunity once I get there. But as for right now, to be with these two has been a great opportunity for me, especially for in that case. So yeah.
And he's not boastful, but I will say he's the most stealthy one of the group. And he has taken eagles off of rocky ledges that have been tangled in fishing line, and some that have been
very true
at the bottom of a ravine, gunshot.
Oh yeah.
And so he's a very talented handler.
You know, I'm really fortunate to work with these two because I couldn't ask for a better team. Nancy's attention to detail and keeping us moving forward,
yes,
in an orderly fashion is great because sometimes I got a lot of ideas in my head. I just need help kind of targeting those forward. And then Brad, I think as far as getting a lot of the things done that we need completed day to day is fantastic. I can ask for a better team to work with. I think Brad has done every job just about at.
Brad has done every job. Brad was even part of marketing for a little while.
That's actually very true.
So I think that this question is really important for people to hear your answers to, because it will help everyone get to kind of know you guys as people. And so my question is what was the defining moment in your life that led you to being a veterinarian, a vet tech, or an upcoming vet tech?
Well, let me start out. I've always had an interest in animals and have always had an interest in wild animals, especially birds and birds of prey. And I had, fantastic parents that helped support that, because it could have been easy for them to say, oh, he's just interested in animals, and not really paid attention to that. But I remember times when we were driving from Columbia, Missouri to Florida, where I was born in Florida but grew up in Columbia, and we'd go back every summer. And I remember, them just pointing out birds of prey soaring, or they'd stop and they'd say, hey, Mike, look at, this. And I was just a little kid. And then I think I expressed that I wanted to be a veterinarian early on. And I had a 6th grade teacher. This was really the defining moment. 6th grade teacher named Mrs. Vaught, and quintessential Midwestern, woman. And she recognized that I loved animals. And she just told me one day, she had given me a subscription to Missouri Conservationist. It was a free magazine. And then she had, showed me some other things about animals. But then one day she said, you can be a doctor for animals. And that was it. That was 6th grade. And from that moment on, with just that one sentence, she totally changed my life. I knew I would work with animals and had kind of thought about different careers. But when she said, you could be a doctor for animals, and I think that's exactly what she said. That was it. From that point on, there was no looking back. There's no plan B. Plan A was to be a veterinarian.
That's awesome.
Yeah, with me, I didn't even know I was going to get into a field something like this, because in high school, I took animal science class and I definitely fell in love with it. But throughout time, I was all about track, cross country. So like in my mind, I wanted to do something with athletic training. So I thought I could find something like that. But then I found a college that I went to called Lees McRae College, and found out there's a thing called wildlife rehabilitation. And I never knew what that was. So once I found out more information on what they do, I was so excited to be accepted there, and actually started hands-on first thing working with wildlife animals from freshman year till my senior year. And from there on, I knew I wanted to work in this field throughout my whole entire career. And finding places like American Eagle Foundation like that was probably the stepping point for me to get here. But starting from there was the biggest thing, especially with birds of prey, because I didn't think there was anything like it, to having a bird on your arm. To thinking of having an eagle or a hawk on your arm was probably the most enjoyable and like exciting thing to see out there, because everyone sees something like that up close and you think that I want to do that. I want to do something like that for my career. And that's where it focused on me, to focus working with birds of prey. And that's how I came to this point from it. Because of it.
That's great. Nancy?
Well, for me, I remember always loving animals as a child. But when I was around 7, I think I had found a baby bird that had fallen out of the nest. I brought it home, made a place for it in the furnace room. The little fella died, but since that moment, I would, like if it ever rained, I would go and see if any birds had fallen out of the nest. I remember the first book I read, cover to cover, was about about horses and their structure, and so it's always been a background theme in my life. And when I graduated from high school, there was either you could clean cages for a veterinarian, or you could become a veterinarian, but there weren't any, especially for women, you know, at the time there weren't really anything in between. And so when I first heard that they were starting a veterinary technician program, it was an hour and a half away from me. It was basically an animal nursing program, and we spent the first year with the human nurses taking basic sciences, and then the second year was focused on animal care. And I was just so excited to be back in school. And then after I graduated, I knew I wanted to travel. There was a job opening at University of Tennessee College of Veterinary Medicine, and I had never been to Tennessee, drove down for the interview, and I fell in love with East Tennessee. And
here you are.
And here you are.
Here you
Here
are.
all of you are with us at American Eagle Foundation, where you are responsible for our 80-plus fleet of non-releasable raptors and corvids. No pressure. But what goes into that?
Ooh.
Well, I would start by saying that the day-to-day care for those ambassadors is taken on by our avian care specialists and our ornithology coordinator and director of operations. They oversee kind of the day-to-day and the training aspect and the dietary aspects. We get questions about diet and things like that from time to time, but most of the work is done by them. Because they do such a great job, we have a fleet, of birds, ambassador birds, that are older, for lack of a better term. They aren't old necessarily, but in the wild, a lot of these birds would probably survive on for like 20, 25 years. We have a number of birds that are 20 years plus, and so it just goes to the great care that they get. We have to address problems as they arise. So injuries or different things that come up, we can address those and take care of those. But it's important for me to kind of stress that the day-to-day care, and the 95% of the care for these birds is actually through our avian care specialists.
So our avian care specialists provide like the daily diets, the training, the less glamorous side of caring for raptors, such as cleaning for their rooms. They provide the enrichment. But your team is essentially the general practitioners for their health. You're the avian doctors, as it were.
So we have annual wellness exams. So we assess their health to make sure that any problems that they had, which is the defining reason why they're in managed care with us, we can make sure that's not progressing, hopefully getting better or not getting worse. So we manage those, and the annual wellness exam allows us to do that. And then as things arise, our avian care specialists notify us that there may be a problem with a particular bird or birds, then we can go and address those. And so we usually go down as a team, and we address those. There's no one that I trust more, and I've told them this, to handle large eagles and to ensure that I don't get injured and the eagle doesn't get injured is this guy here. and Nancy's right there with him. But we go down and we'll assess the birds and we'll come up with a treatment plan or a management plan that may involve either some dietary modifications, administration of medications, addressing maybe some small, medical needs at the time. And then if there are serious things, because we don't have our hospital up and running just yet, serious medical problems, and my association with the University of Tennessee in the past, and I think we have a good relationship with them, so we can actually take birds to the University of Tennessee as well.
And also, I just want to bring up the avian care staff have strong bonds with the birds they care for, and they respond positively to their caregivers. The birds associate us with discomfort, so they're not exactly happy to see us. So it's so important that they have caregivers that really know the bird's personality and behavior, and they can see subtle changes that we wouldn't be able to pick up on if we just walked up to the bird. So our whole relationship with the whole team is so important. We've been sending our lab work to Dr. Carolyn Cray at the university of Miami, an avian wildlife lab, and through consistently sending and collaborating with her, Dr. Jones and Dr. Cray have a lot of research data that we wouldn't have had otherwise, because we have a large number of bald eagles. And so, now we have some geriatric bald eagles, so we have new sets of problems, but because we've been gathering data all this time, we know how best to care for them.
I would liken our relationship to the veterinary rehab team seeing a trailer of the movie of that bird's life, but the avian care specialists have watched the whole movie. And so that's why we involve them, so much with what we do, because they pick up, like Nancy said, on the little things that change from day to day. And they can say, this bird isn't acting quite right, or something's not quite right with that bird. And whereas we go look at the bird, and of course they don't like us, so their behavior changes. When they see us, they want to make themselves look as good as they can possibly look. And so they and they're angry with us, quite honestly. But the avian care specialists have watched the whole movie, so they can tell us when those little things have changed and what we need to address. So it's not just our team, it's the whole team, everyone here working together for the good of the birds.
I love that you brought up the difference in behavior that these raptors exhibit versus avian care specialists and your team. I know it's hard that you're providing medical care and these annual exams only to be slightly resented by raptors, but I think it's also important to touch on the fact that they're known to be what we call stoic, meaning that if they're around a perceived potential threat or a doctor they may be nervous about being around, they're going to put forth every effort in appearing fine. This is why this sort of thing should always be left to the experts and not to your average person. American Eagle Foundation is federally and state permitted to care for these birds.
Yes.
And our avian care specialists are specialists for a reason, and you've already shared all of your expertise. So I like talking about that, just because if you find an injured bird of prey, you may think it appears okay, or it may put forth that same effort at appearing stoic, but it really takes a specialist to get a good sense of what's really going on.
Yeah, I think so. And we've all, have the experience, and we work with these birds, and so we're able to pick up on those things that we need to address with birds of prey, because birds of prey are dramatically different than working with like parrots. And I spent a number of years working with parrots, not parents. But their behavior is different, and the way that they respond to you is different as well. Whereas our parrots and other species like that would be considered prey species. We're dealing with predators that are oftentimes at the top of the food chain in their region. So there's a whole different dynamic of working with these birds. Some birds, try to get away from you. Some birds are going to stand their ground, and
like George the vulture.
Yeah. No, George just sneaks up on me.
I would say George and me are not the best of pals. I'm sure if anybody who's listening right now has ever heard of George the vulture, if you haven't, definitely go look at him on Instagram. There's a video with me and him. As you can see, he shows his behavior very well to me, because he knows that I am the bad guy to him whenever he has to get a physical exam or anything. So, and that's one of the examples of how we as a rehab team see that in the bird towards us.
So when they see you guys come in, it's kind of like a kid going to the dentist. Mm-hmm. And then they hurry up and brush their teeth and floss, thinking that, I'm going to be in the clear. And then you guys come along and they're like, uh-oh.
Yeah. We get all kinds of looks. For example, Saphira, I think she's like, bring it.
That's her bald eagle.
Yeah.
She's like, she's one of our larger bald eagles, a female. You go by her enclosure, she's like, bring it.
To everyone.
To everyone. And then you have other birds that look at you apprehensively, like, why are you here? Don't stop, keep walking. Because as soon as you stop, they go to the other side of the enclosure. But if you don't stop, then they'll follow you, just make sure you're moving on, and then they're good. We have corvids as well, and Poe, when I walk by the enclosure, usually picks up a stick, and then there's a box sometimes in there, or there enrichment, and Poe will play with the enrichment while I'm there and come up to the front. And Tuck, our other corvid, for the longest time would not say a single word around me. Tuck would talk to other people, Nancy, Brad, everyone, but because I was the one that did all the poking and prodding for many years, would not say a single word around me. And it hurt.
It would hurt me too if Tuck did not say hi to me.
Yeah,
oh, I'd hear him say,
totally.
"Hi, Tuck. Hi, Tuck."
Tuck.
And then I say, "Hi, Tuck," and he's like,
No, go on.
like that cartoon with the frog, that would do the
Hello,
dance.
my lady.
Yeah, hello, yeah. And that was Tuck for me.
All right, Feathered Fanatics, that's all the time we have for today, but our amazing rehabilitation team will be back next episode for part 2 of Let's Get Physical. Do you mind signing off and telling us why they should listen?
This is Dr. Michael Jones, Director of Rehabilitation and Research, signing off, and we hope that you join us for part 2 of this incredible podcast. You should join us because we're going to be touching on a lot of different subjects about our birds and their care, and maybe even giving you some interesting facts.
This is Brad Skinner, Rehab Associate, signing off. And definitely check out part 2, because we're definitely going to go more into depth of how we care for all of our birds in general here at the American Eagle Foundation, and something you won't really hear unless you listen to part 2. So definitely check it out.
This is Nancy Zagaya, licensed veterinary technician and rehab manager, and we want you to come back because you're part of our community, and we want you to get to know us and our birds better.